think that on paper, like, we are like you're everything that I need, but like I don't think that the attraction is fully there. Yeah, so to be perfectly honest. Paige is different from the type of women that I'm used to. You know?
So, like, what are the type of women you used to?
The opposite of Paige. Like the real prissy girls, pretty girls, like you fronting everything, you paying for everything. Like trophy wives.
But Paige is a trophy wife. That's out the box.
She got the body of a goddess for sure.
We know this.
It's there. She has a fat ass. It just is what it is. A nice fat ass, not ASSAZZ.
So in this video, I finally want to talk about Chris and Paige from the show Married at First Sight. And they are from season 12. And this has been a requested video by several of you. So you guys literally had me catching up with this show for the last 2 days. Thankfully, it was on demand, so I did binge watch the entire season. And by the third episode, I just kind of skipped around to only watch the scenes with Chris and Paige, as well as Brianna and Vincent, because honestly, I was only interested in those two couples. So it really didn't take me that long, but I did watch last night's episode as well, so I could be current. So for those who don't know, Married at First Sight is a show where people get matched by dating experts to marry someone based on how compatible they are on paper. They don't actually see each other until they are legally married and on their wedding day. They are literally married at first sight. And as you saw in the clip, Chris, a black man on the show, said that the black woman he was matched with on the show wasn't attracted to her when he first saw her. And to make matters worse, in the show he found out that his ex-fiancée was 6 weeks pregnant, which I personally question if that is true. I personally think that it may have been a lie that Chris and his ex came up with. Her name is Mercedes. I think they came up with a lie to get Paige to divorce him because he was not attracted to her. Because on the last episode, him and Mercedes really didn't appear serious about the whole situation. They were laughing a little bit too much for me. I just got the feeling that it was staged. But if she is really pregnant, then that means he was sleeping with her up until the very moment he started the show. And throughout the show, he also over-sexualized Paige. He praised her for her curves and her big butt, but simultaneously saying that she was not his type. So basically, he is saying that the only thing he liked about her was her fat ass. And he said that in the series. He's like, she got a fat ass, which is something that is very common in the black community. Black men will tolerate a black woman he's not really attracted to if she has a big butt or a nice body and she's putting out, in which Paige was putting out. She slept with him the first night that they met. And this is why I always tell you guys, a man cannot be attracted to black women or be colorist and still sleep with one. Because a lot of people say, well, how can there be colorism when there are so many dark-skinned baby mamas? Well, colorism doesn't stop men from sleeping with dark-skinned women and pumping and dumping them. They have been doing this forever. It's nothing new. And it should also be noted that Chris is not a Pookie and Ray Ray. This man is not a Dusty financially. He is a six-figure earning, quote-unquote, high-value black man. The same type of so-called good black man that all these black men are running around on the internet saying black women like Paige overlook and don't want. But this woman clearly wanted this man. He just didn't want her. This is the same type of black man that they say doesn't pump and dump black women like Pookie, isn't colorist like Pookie, and never does anything wrong like Pookie does. And so the lie detector says that that is false, fellas. And this only proves that the typical preference in women for black men goes across the board from low earning to high earning black men. So black women can choose better black men all day long, like the black men and their pick-me's are saying we should do to solve all of our problems that we have with black men. In which I do recommend that we choose better too if we're going to choose black men. But we're still going to encounter some of the same issues with colorism, even when black women choose better. And if he wants someone lighter, brighter, or whiter with smaller features or a looser hair texture, there is nothing black women can do about that. So, with this being the reality, it's logically in Black women's best interest to expand their options to all races of men to increase the chances of finding a compatible partner instead of scrambling and fighting other Black women for the minority of quality, high value men, the choose better men, right, who are not colorist. It just makes the most sense romantically. And before I continue, I just want to say that in terms of dark-skinned female representation in dating, because y'all know that's what my channel is about, I will acknowledge that in this case, it's not all bad because of Brianna. I think Brianna being on the show kind of balanced things out for the image of dark-skinned women, and I'm not sure if Vincent is as accomplished as Brianna is, which if he's not, I'm not really feeling that. But he is still well-to-do. He's not a Dusty, and you can definitely tell he is attracted to her. So I just bring that up to say and reiterate to dark-skinned women that there are men out there of all races who will genuinely want you and be attracted to you. Brianna is proof of that. You don't have to be like Paige. You don't have to settle for men who only want to sleep with you or just want you because you got a fat ass, or men who just don't make you feel beautiful. Most of you truly have more options than you think. And I'm singling out dark-skinned women when I say that because colorism has made dark-skinned women especially feel like they have to settle for Black men who aren't attracted to them or just have, a lukewarm attraction to them or who just want them for their bodies. And they settle for these men simply to have a relationship with a Black man. And a lot of Black women tolerate being last choice for Black men just to have a Black man. And this situation with Chris and Paige, in my opinion, is proof of that. And it's not just colorism that makes Black women do this. It's Black culture in general. It's the religious indoctrination. It's the media, the movies, the hip hop music that encourage Black women to be ride or die for Black men. And Paige in particular has really been negatively affected by the religious indoctrination. Everything is God said this and God said that, and I have to hold it down for my husband because God said. And listen, nothing is wrong with religion per se. Everyone has their own belief system, and that's perfectly fine. But it's to the point to where religion has made many Black women like Paige work against their own best interests in the name of God or in the name of righteousness. And honestly, religion, in my opinion, Christianity has handicapped Black people in general, but that's a whole nother conversation. So when you combine the religious indoctrination with the rabid colorism and misogynoir that goes on in this community, where Black women are being told that Black men are the prize, they're the only choice for Black women, and if you don't settle for this, that, and the third, you're going to die alone. That is a recipe for desperate Black women and desperate dark-skinned Black women especially. This situation is more common than you think. A lot of dark-skinned women have an unhealthy desire for Black men and are dating, marrying, having babies with men who aren't attracted to them just so they can have a Black man, just so they can say, I have a Black man. Black women have this scarcity mindset when it comes to dating Black men. We want one so bad. And because we fear that there aren't enough to go around and we'll never find another Black man who will want us, we tolerate a lot to keep the ones who we think who want us or the ones we think that we have. And this happens all the time, more than I think a lot of Black women are willing to admit, because honestly, it's embarrassing. Why would we want to admit that? So we really do tell ourselves, oh no, Black men, they love us. They love Black women. They love dark-skinned women, even as they're telling you that they don't to your face. And this goes without saying, it's not all Black men, but it's enough of them to notice it. You know what I'm saying? It's enough of them to where we should not be, as dark-skinned women, running around saying how much Black men love us. And honestly, we don't require much from Black men either. They don't have to marry us. We'll still have their babies. And everything. So that's why, for me, this is not about Black women being desperate for marriage per se. I think we're desperate for Black men. I don't think marriage is clearly not required. I mean, how many out of wedlock Black mothers are there? So clearly, we're not big on marriage. We're not hell bent on that. We want a Black man, and we will try to get one by any means necessary. They don't have to be attracted to us. They can tell us to our faces, hey, you're ugly. I really don't like you like that, but you got a fat ass. And we're like, okay. It's crazy to me. I'm not saying we all do this, but mileage may vary. There are a lot of different ways that black men tell you that, and we still, put up with them. We still tolerate it. And this show proves everything I've said in the past about this. And I feel it's an epidemic at this point of low self-esteem, dark-skinned black women dealing with men who don't like them. There are actual memes out there of black men joking about how ugly their first baby mamas are, and their baby mamas in the memes are usually dark-skinned. So, and we laugh at it. The community laughs at it. We think it's funny. So this is common, and this is something that black women tolerate, and it's psychosis at this point, if you ask me. And I think it's an important conversation for black women to have because it causes a lot of problems in black relationships, and it goes beyond dating and marrying. Dark-skinned women man-stroke black men the hardest, from what I see. Black men they don't even know. These black men are strangers, right? They cape for strange black men they don't even know. Black men who are with white women, who are with women who look nothing like them, right? Black women, dark-skinned black women cape the most for black men when they are desired the least by black men. It's crazy. It's psychosis. It's like dark-skinned women are trying to prove to black men that they're worthy of love by caping for them, or they are begging them in a lot of ways to reciprocate the desire they have for them. But it never works, and it's never going to work, ladies. So this is something that we need to stop, and I will continue to say that on my channel. Like it's getting ridiculous at this point, and it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. This is on television, national television. This is on Lifetime. People are watching this. It's so embarrassing. And look, let me say this. Every man isn't going to be attracted to every black woman or every dark-skinned woman. That's not realistic. Just like every dark-skinned woman isn't attracted to every black man. But the problem comes in when black men use these women or mistreat them based on their lack of attraction to them. And an even bigger problem is when black women tolerate it and accept the mistreatment and abuse, which black women tend to do very often. But we see clearly that black men aren't going to stop. They're only going to do what we allow them to do and get away with. So we have to stop. And another thing I'll say is this, and I'll be very realistic. I've said this before. Whether you are male or female, the chances of your partner being every single thing you want in a mate in terms of looks is very unrealistic. I've always told you that I've never prioritized looks in a relationship. If they're super fine or they're cute or they're super hot, then great. But it's not a requirement for me to get with somebody. And a lot of women are like that. Looks aren't at the top of the list like they are with men. And I feel like looks don't matter to everyone. If you're in a relationship and you're not really each other's type and, it works out for you because lack of physical attraction is not a deal breaker, then fine. And look, that may have been the situation with Paige. Maybe, her partner being super attracted to her is not a deal breaker. And that's why she really didn't trip when Chris said he wasn't initially attracted to her. But she also said, in the beginning after they got married, she said, oh, I kind of wish he would have been looking at me more during the wedding. So clearly that was something that was important to her. So if you want a man to be attracted to you, but he's not, then leave. Don't waste your time. And I know that, Paige invested a lot on this show. She didn't just want to leave. She married this guy. But listen, she didn't know him. She could have just walked away, get a divorce. You tried. Better luck next time. She could have just walked away instead of staying on the show and further embarrassing herself, And so that's why I say I think it's probably a self-esteem issue. Paired with what I talked about earlier, like with the religious indoctrination. And I'll say this, because men are more visual than women and put more stock in looks, it is important to have a man who's genuinely attracted to you, because that does in some capacity determine how he treats you. And if you are a dark-skinned woman, colorism adds an extra layer to that. If you have to ask or wonder if a man is attracted to you, the way Paige was kind of wondering that when she met Chris, then he's probably not attracted to you. If you have to ask or wonder, then just assume that he's not attracted. And if lack of attraction is a deal breaker for you, then bounce. But, she felt the lack of attraction, but she didn't listen to her intuition. And she slept with him anyway, multiple times. Ladies, sex does not make a man stay. Babies don't make a man stay. So it's time that women stop trying to use those things to try to keep a man, because it's not going to work. Being ride or die does not keep a man. And I think what a lot of women don't realize is that you actually push men away when you put up with their bullshit. Men don't respect that. Men don't respect women who let them walk all over them. Chris, to me, he was trying to make her leave him so he wouldn't look like an asshole for leaving her. That's why he kept stringing her along, trying to make it seem like he wanted it to work out. That's also why he didn't allow them to film him saying that he was still in love with his ex and he wanted a divorce. He was attempting to protect his image on the show, but it didn't work. But he was piling all of that on so she could say, okay, I'm done. He didn't want to be the one to end it first. And he also knew that Paige was a good woman. So he didn't want to completely let her go, but he also wasn't attracted to her enough to be with her. But no amount of her tolerating him was going to make him stay, lady. So that's the lesson you can learn from this. Men do not respect ride or die women like they say they do. They really don't. Now, will they still romantically involve themselves with the ride or die women and deal with them because they can't afford to get the women they truly want? Yeah, because we all know that with more money comes more options in women for men. And in Chris's case, he definitely isn't broke because he's a six-figure earner and he definitely had options, but he came across as being stingy and kind of cheap. I don't know if you guys noticed that. He mentioned to Paige how he wanted to go 50-50 and he wanted her to pitch in for something financially. I can't remember what it was, but he was like, are we going to go 50-50 on that? And he also mentioned wanting separate bank accounts, which doesn't always indicate that a man is cheap. Not every husband and wife have a joint bank account, but that along with some of the other stuff he was saying, it did indicate that he's cheap. And you have to look out for that, when it comes to looking for high value men, ladies. It's not enough for him to just be high value. He can't be cheap. He has to be generous, Again, high value doesn't always equal high quality. There are other qualities that you need to look for and you need to vet men for. And being cheap is definitely one of them. And what Chris wants is the stereotypical trophy wife. He said it. And we know what trophy wife usually means. Lighter skin, keener features, the model-esque type woman. He wants that woman that's willing to go 50-50, which that's unrealistic. And this is why a lot of black men choose dark-skinned women in particular, because many of us, we don't require that. We think so low of ourselves and our looks that we will actually allow cheap or broke black men to have access to our bodies and settle for us. And, we'll actually have kids with them knowing we are last choice and knowing they're cheap and whatever else is wrong with them. They default to dark-skinned women because a lot of us, we tolerate that kind of stuff. And this is why I say no dark-skinned women in their right mind with a healthy, sense of self-worth and high self-esteem would allow herself to be in that position. Be single and wait it out until you find a man, no matter what race he is, that is going to treat you like the trophy wife. And, when I saw Chris's ex, she looked like I thought she would look. She kind of reminded me of Sierra a little bit. So that's more of his type physically, which is fine. But if you know that's what you want and you can't compromise on that, don't string along a woman who doesn't meet your criteria. And black women, you don't tolerate a man that is going to do that to you either. And be clear, I'm not saying that Chris isn't attracted to Paige only because she's dark or that no black man at all would find Paige attractive. I'm not saying that the only reason a man may not be attracted to a dark-skinned woman is because she's dark. Not all women, regardless of skin tone, are attractive. But it's well known that a lot of black men are colorist and don't prefer dark-skinned women. And almost every time, if you notice this, almost every time a black man publicly states that a certain woman isn't his type, it's usually a dark-skinned woman. And we just have to be honest about that. Lighter skin tone, smaller features. And I know you guys don't like me to talk about features or featureism, but it is what it is. That does play a factor, in the dating game as well as colorism. It is what it is. Because you guys were real mad when I said that about Lori Harvey in my video about Michael B. Jordan and Lori Harvey. But it is what it is. And just because you get mad about it and you're all outraged about it doesn't make it any less true. There are black women who look like Lori Harvey. There are black women who look like Mercedes. But we know that those black women are preferred more than the black women who look like Paige, who are darker skinned with fuller features. it is what it is. That's the truth. And many black men blatantly say they don't want women with dark skin. They don't even usually mention features. They don't mention features. They don't mention attitude. They don't mention weight or other factors that go into a woman being attractive or unattractive. They say, I don't like dark skinned women. So I'm going by what many of them say. So if you guys want us to believe it's not about skin tone and it's about features or weight or attitude and skin tone doesn't matter, then say what you really mean instead of only saying that you don't prefer dark skinned women. And if you say, oh, well, they default to dark skinned women because dark skinned women usually have, fuller features and they don't like fuller features, or kinky hair doesn't have, anything to do with dark skin. Well, if you're saying that, then that only proves my point about Lori Harvey and how most black women don't look like her. If it were the norm for black women to have Lori Harvey features and Lori Harvey hair, then I'm quite sure that there would be less colorism complaints. Because let's keep it real, that's what black men usually prefer. And I really think this is why a lot of bitter and angry women online are coming after the level up movement and women over here in this camp, because they know they're with a man or have kids with a man who don't find them attractive, or they're settling for those men, and they're trying to convince us to tolerate men who don't find us attractive like they did. That or they're with low value men, so they're trying to convince you to be with low value men like they are. These women's mission is to get you to settle for subpar relationships with men who have a lukewarm attraction to you like they did, because they feel like that's all they themselves deserve. And so that's all you should deserve because you look like them. So beware, of these, bitter, angry, pick me, mammies, all these women on here, trying to convince you that black men aren't that bad. Yeah, they are that bad and they know it. They just want you to be like them and tolerate it. A lot of black women speaking on this topic actually have a lot of Paige tendencies that they're not aware of. They are openly supporting and caping for men on this platform who are just like Chris, claiming to be high value and are telling you to your face that they think you're ugly and too ugly to get what you want. Yet you're calling into their shows to get advice from them. You're allowing them to humiliate you, get rich off of you, and you're co-signing them. All of this is related, ladies. You are desperate for these men, and it's embarrassing. So black women, again, stop believing the lies. You don't have to settle for men who are not attracted to you, who don't think you're good enough. If being desirable to your man is important to you, okay? There are other fish in the sea. So stop wasting your time with one man who doesn't want you when you can leave him alone and use your time to find one who does like you and who does want you and who does, treat you like a trophy wife. You're worthy of that. So yeah, that is all I have to say about this. Let me know what you think down in the comment section, and I'll catch up with you in the next video.